Well, hey there, this is Jerry, and I'm getting started on another episode of What's Broke Today. And today I've got a 2001 GMC. It's a 2500 HD with a 6.6 Duramax that's leaking coolant. And I did a bunch of checking before I started videotaping because I wasn't figured I don't need wasting time till I figured out where my leak was coming from. So let me get set up and I'll show you. Okay, so I pressurized the cooling system, and I'm going to take my flashlight, I'm going to shine it up here, and make sure I get in the right spot. But you'll see a funny looking little line that reflects up there, and that is a pinhole size stream of coolant coming out of that block off plate on the rear adapter. But I thought it was the rear adapter at first, but then I saw the coolant up there farther forward than that adapter plate, and it's like, it's just a little itty bitty stream, but once you find it, it's easy to see. Alright, well, in getting started on taking this apart, I don't know if you can see back up here through this hole, which there's a bracket in the way. I don't know how I'm going to get to that. I'm going to have to take stuff apart. But there's one hidden back up there, and then one through there with my wrench on, ratchet wrench. I'm just going to loosen this bottom one, or attempt to. Set the camera down. Okay, so I loosened the bottom one, and then I got my drain pan just set underneath there. I'm just going to walk away and let that drain, because it's going to drain for quite a while, and then I got to figure out how I'm going to get to that top one back up in there. And I'm wondering if I can use a ratchet and an extension and maybe go through there, because I don't know how hard it'd be to take this exhaust stuff loose, because it's been on there for 20 plus years. You know, if I was to break the band clamp, it wouldn't be that big a deal. I'd get another one of those easy, but yeah, I'm not exactly sure how I'm going to get up there to that top one, unless I can reach up from the bottom. Well, there I can get my wrench up in on it. Barely. Well, almost on it. So, I got antifreeze all over my wrench. Of course, I hold my camera in the wrong spot. I don't got the display on. I got all that glare from the light, but yeah, I don't know if you can see where I got my wrench up in there. So yeah, so I can get the top one does turn. So, but I'm just going to let this set and drain, which at that rate it might take it an hour. Alright, getting an update where I'm at is we're still dripping, and it's been, I bet it's been an hour and a half. Now what I have done since you saw me, that little guard that was on the back side of here, I took the 10mm headed bolt out here. There's one way up on top that I took off from under the hood. And then the other one that was back up here behind, and also our transmission dipstick tube. I took the nuts off the dipstick tube, and then which was a 13mm, 10mm off that bracket, and I did all that from underneath with long extensions and swivels. And mainly I got that out of the way thinking it'd give me more room to get to that one bolt that's hard to get to, and I don't think it's helped a bit, but I got a different wrench I'm going to try and reach up there, because right now I'm at a point I'm worried about taking it out and how I'm going to get it back in there. Mainly because of getting my hand in there, because it's in a hidden spot, and if I took the downpipe off, that thing would be a piece of cake probably to change. But on the other end, we're broke right here at this bracket, and getting that nut off shouldn't be a big deal. I'm gonna actually look up top and see how hard the down tube is to remove the rest of the way. Probably the only thing is that shield that I let's go up top. Yes, and the other bolt up top was right in that there, and that hole that's in it up there. Figuring out if I can finish getting it up out of there without hurting anything, which, oh yeah, it will. A little wiggling and it comes, I think it'll come right out. And then got 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, basically I'll have to hunt down a gasket. I might hunt that down before I take that off, or try and take that off. I'm just worried about that being rusty and me not getting those bolts out, but that being on the turbo, that's supposed to be better metal than what we normally have on a lot of other things. So, but yeah, I'm gonna keep letting coolant drain and hopefully it'll get done soon. Well, I'll give you a little bit of update. You know, I'd pulled that heat shield loose. I pulled it all the way out, and I cannot get nothing into that top bolt. So I said, well, I got to pull the downpipe off, which luckily it's broke right there. And I've loosened this clamp up, and off and on for the last 2 hours, I've been up here in the top fighting this, and I ended up on the side where the nut on the stud is blocked by the downpipe. I took my 14mm box end wrench, put on the nut, and then took a 15mm wrench and had it sticking out kind of underneath the heater hoses out here. I was able to pry it and get it broke free. And then using my long handle ratchet and a 12-point socket, I was able to, on the top 3 bolts, oh, there goes a wrench I got to retrieve before I forget about it. Because if I don't get this now, I'll forget about it. And I'll start the truck and really screw stuff up. The top ones, I just took my 1/2-inch drive 12-point socket, and for the 2 that are to the right, I went in kind of, you know, on top here, and then went under the heater hoses for the next one down, and then for the one on the other side, I just went this direction. And then when I got to the bottom 12-point, I added a 2-inch extension, and it's a hard reach, but reach over and get it the socket on the bolt, and then I was able to push down, get it broke free. And then I just used a 14mm socket on the other nut on the other side. So I do have all of those broke free. I do need to source a gasket. I'm done for the day, so we'll get back at this tomorrow. Well, getting back to the truck, I'd loosened up this clamp, and I'm just going to take a screwdriver to pop it loose. And let's have to take that nut clear off there. Oh, well, that T-bar, that's what screwed me up. The T-bar part of the clamp came out of its socket, but that's okay. We can pull that off, which will allow the pipe to drop down. I'll have to clean off some of the crusty rust before we go back up there. Now we can go up top and finish taking it loose up top. Alright, and then getting up here to get this loose on top, I'm going to start out on the bottom. If I can get my ratchet wrench on it. That bottom bolt. Oh! And that's hard to turn. More reach. See if I can go clear over the top. Oh! Maybe not. Oh, that didn't turn very easy. So I'll get the camera break while I take that bolt out. Alright, well, after I get the downpipe loose, I just pulled it up and just kind of got it wedged up here. Kind of like that. It slid up there real easy. And I just pulled a little hard to get it wedged. But the nice thing is once I get that out of the way, there's my plate that I got to remove. Magneted to the frame. Because once that's out of the way, both these bolts, super easy to get to. Plate falls off, gasket falls off, and pay attention to how this gasket is on there. So you can put it back the same way. And yeah, that's whatever that was on it just deteriorated. So let me clean up things a little bit, then we can put this back on. The 45-degree angle cut in the gasket would have to go down toward the bottom. So I must have, when I was taking that out, I must have flipped it around because I thought I put it back the same way I took it out. And I did put a little bit of silicone on that just to hold it in place and to help keep it from leaking, because it looks like why it started leaking was because whatever that metal coating or coating that was on the metal failed. But needless to say, if I ever go to do another one of these, which I hope I don't, first thing I'm actually going to do is take the downpipe off. Okay, so now all I need to do is get a downpipe gasket for up top and figure out where I dropped one of the nuts that goes on the studs that hold the pipe on at the turbo, and I don't know where it went. So I'm going to see if I can hunt it down and then go get a gasket. Alright, not sure how well you'll be able to see, but our new gasket came in. And I sprayed some of the holes with rust penetrant, just I don't know, to make sure they was in good shape. And then I'll take my gasket, reach over, slide it up on the studs, and then what I hadn't noticed before, where the studs are, you know, those holes aren't round, they're cut out, so I can come up here and Get that pipe out of the way and I can start. One. And the second nut. Now I'm going to run them on there till I got the, the bolt is completely through the center of the nut. And then I can pick this pipe up, slide it over the studs and just let her drop down. Now of course I'd sprayed my bolts with some rust penetrant. Now I'm going to start the top three first. And grab my towel and throw one of them. Alright, I figured this might be easier because I was having trouble videotaping me putting the bolts back on the downpipe. So things I used, for the bolts I had to have 12 millimeter sockets, and like when I was loosening them up, the bottom two up that are hard to get to, I had a 2-inch extension, 1/2-inch drive with a 12 millimeter socket, long handle flex head ratchet, put them together so I get over the back side and get on them and get them loose. After I loosened them up a little bit, took off this 2-inch and put this piece on, which it's about 1.5 inches, and all it is a 1/2 to 3/8 adapter and a 3/8 to 1/2 adapter, because when I was turning it, it wasn't tight, and this was getting up against the firewall. And of course this was as long as I was before on my 3/8 drive. On the top side, all I had to have was the socket and the ratchet to get the top two 12 millimeters out. And of course, same thing going back together, but it was a lot harder getting it loose. That's why I had to have this 1/2 inch, because I actually got it up there, had my, it got it on the bolt and got my hand down here in between the firewall and the turbo, and then took my dead blow hammer and whacked the handle to break them free. And once I got them broke free, I could turn them. And likewise, the nuts are 14 millimeter. Well, you're not supposed to do this, but I put the 14 millimeter on the nut, took the 15 and hooked it in there, and was whacking this, and it actually ended up breaking it free just by pulling. And then when I put it back on and tightened them up, I just put the wrench on and then just boop, boop, boop with this to tighten them up, because I just couldn't get underneath there and really get a good pull or push on it. So, but yeah, 14 millimeter box end wrench, open end. I can hook it together like so. I took the 1-inch extension. Didn't need it because I couldn't find my 12.3/8 drive socket. So 3/8 flex head, 3/8 deep 12, 1/2 to 3/8 adapter, 1/2 to 3/8 adapter, 1/2-inch ratchet, 2-inch extension, 1/2 drive, 1/2-inch drive socket, 12 millimeter. And that's all you need up top, and then down on the bottom end, if it's not broke, I think it's 14 millimeter nut on the support bracket, and then a 11 millimeter 7/16 to take the V-band clamp off, and then get that downpipe out of the way. When we get back up here, this goofy heat shield, getting it up and around, back down there, clearing the AC line. Hopefully it goes back in easier than it came out. So, gotta watch catching the insulation. Okay. Gotta watch the transmission dipstick tube. Okay, yeah, that did go in easier than it came out. And we got one long bolt that goes in it up here, which I bend that ear back and forward. Start that one, and then I'll go down in the fender well down here, start another one. Okay, now I'm gonna crawl underneath. Oh, and I got my other 10 millimeter that goes in that cover. I'm gonna see if I can get it jammed up in my socket. And then see if I can reach up there and get it started without doing that, dropping the bolt. Under here and try this again. But yeah, where that's at, my hand just doesn't fit. I probably ought to get a piece of tape and tape that bolt to the socket so I don't drop it. Okay, I got it in the hole. Okay, that one is in. Now I'm going to swap out for a 13 and bolt the dipstick tube back up. And of course the bottom one I can try to reach up there and start it without no problem. But the top one I know I can't reach with my hand, but put it in my socket. Okay, there's one. Okay, there's two. All right. Whew. Let's see if I can get in here. Yep. All right. And then this one's can't remember how I got this one out of there. Let's try it like that. Yeah, that was it. We gotta get that out around the AC hose. one there. Okay. And that's everything to reinstall up top. One of the last things we got to do is get this exhaust back up here, and then we got our T-bolt. So we can bring this up. Get everything captured. Capture that pipe and then rotate that around so it's facing outward. Make sure I still got the pipe captured, and then okay. Now we can tighten her up. Okay. There's that. Now I just got to, I'm going to get some coolant, finish filling it with coolant, and then we'll start it up and check for leaks. Okay, now getting ready to finish refilling with coolant, and on the front of this water neck up here, which I can't remember if the thermostat might be in there, but there is a plug and a cap. And take the bolt out, and there's a I don't want to lose it, but there's a seal and a gasket here, and it's stuck to that cap, so I'm not going to pull that all the way out yet. I'm just going to loosen it up almost all the way. Now I'll come here. I'm going to take my funnel to put in here, but I'm going to drop a zip tie down in between my funnel and the bottle. And that way, while I'm pouring my coolant, as air needs to escape from the bottle, it'll come up past that zip tie instead of filling up my funnel and then it belching and blowing coolant all over the place and on me. As you can see, this thing holds a lot of coolant. I can come up here and pull my screw out and release air. Okay. Okay, now we're holding the coolant. I filled it up to the full hot line. Now I'm going to pull this screw loose again. And if it's quiet, you can hear it kind of gurgling inside the motor. You put your finger over the hole for a little bit, then let off. You can hear it go, you know, kind of that foof sound as it releases the air. Okay. Restart that. Okay, and let that go until its coolant comes out. And I'm just going to snug this up. And now what I'm going to do is run it, get it warmed up, circulating a little. I'll even loosen this and pull it back out because it'll purge some air, and because of the way everything's piped, this is a high spot and the reservoir tank's a high spot. So we want to make sure we get as much air out of the engine itself as possible. Well, I think I got it semi burped, other than I might take out for a drive because the heater core still must have some little air in it. And AC compressor, even when it's on foot and AC's off, still cycles. So I don't know what's up with that, because I did a double take, because when I looked in the fender you see the water on the frame, but that's dripping from the air conditioner. And so well, I'm gonna let it cool off, recheck the coolant level, and then it'll be time to take it for a drive.